Now, what you got to realize is that they're going to, the people on the Cronus, hang on, I'm going to smurf this all up today if I don't get my act together. Let's go over here for a second. It takes a few minutes to warm up for the live stream. Anybody's not familiar. Let me get rid of the Flash, the Adobe, so we're not got two streams going. And hi everybody in the chat room. I'm having a hard time with the chat room here this morning. We got Elaine. And let me get that stuff out of your way here. Hang on. We got Elaine and Lori. And Kate can't be here. Hi everyone. Terry Ann. Ice cream for you. Nova. Candace. Alex. And thank you for the music you're producing, Alex, by the way. And Bob. And Jane. And Abraham. Sunshine in the winter. Okay. So I just want to touch up on some bases to make sure I sort this out for everybody so everybody don't do the wrong thing that we were talking about yesterday. So the Rolando is to take a Woods Hole equipment over there. It seems things are changing today. And they're going to put a swimmer in the water in Tokyo Harbor. Okay. They offered me to be the relief skipper. And so I just want to point that out. To be a relief skipper on a boat, being who I am, the nuclearproctologist.org, we'll knock that up there for everybody. So what you're looking at is the nuclear proctologist becomes the part of that operation too. And so they can't get away, even though Woods Hole has a vested interest in it and that the swimmer is there. Now, I don't think the swimmer is aware. I can assure you he'll be aware by the time he gets to Tokyo, because the captain is extraordinarily astute and he's in this for Fukushima. He's doing this to raise awareness because that is the way he's seen for it till he found us. But he's extremely smart. So by the time the crew was over there, even though right now they got their first taste of Fukushima when I was there for a day and a half. And that startled them all. They had no concept. They weren't able to wrap their mind around it because they got a tendency to be like that. But when a stranger shows up and that they can't come up with another way around that narrative, I'm not really a stranger, I guess, but when a stranger shows up and has the narrative, all of a sudden they have to open their eyes. All of a sudden they understand this is different. All of a sudden that we injected our name into this conversation, that we were invited on board, and that we were invited to participate, even though that's highly unlikely for me. But nevertheless, what it does do, it changes the entire dynamics of what they're doing. The minute I walked on the boat and the minute I put out a video, we changed the dynamics of that whole equation. Right? You see how that works? And, you know, I'm going to go do an interview. We're going to get their narrative. We're going to hear it from their mouths. I'm going to post that up at my site. And at that point, everybody can make up their own mind at that point. I'm asking people to wait until we get to that point before you make your mind up. Because you know how things can change. Right? It can change extraordinarily fast. Even though this was originally written in stone, it's no longer written in stone because I'm into that equation. And that I believe myself, what I'm saying to you is the way things are going to play out. But I know that's not good enough for people. I understand that. I'm not suggesting that people do things just because I told them, or support people just because I told them. What I plan to do is go prove it. And so give me time. But I wanted to tell the story. I think it's a good story, and by doing that, I inject myself into it anyway. And by that, I kind of co-opt the whole show anyway in certain aspects. That's not what I was intending to do when I went down and met them. I intended just to go down and meet them, see what they were doing, to hear their story, to see what was going on. The fact they invited me on board, the fact that they want me to be the relief skipper, should give you another way, a pause to think about what you might have read yesterday and today about that. But give yourself a pause and think about what just happened a few days ago to him. That Dana and the hounds of Fukushima literally showed up on the boat. And that they came up to the courtroom in solidarity. So does that sound to you like, you know what I'm saying, right? Because by the time they get there, they understand. They're buying all kinds of iodine to take with them. They're buying all kinds of healthy food. They're bringing all the water with them. They're not going to drink the water there. So everybody on the crew is going to start to understand at some point before they get there, including the swimmer, if he doesn't already get it. But we're going to do an interview on Sunday, hopefully. And find out. And then be able to put that up here. And then everybody, you know, can say, well, Dana, you were wrong, or Dana, you were right. And that's fine, see? But because I believe in what I'm saying, and I believe in what I'm trying to accomplish, I still can't ask anything of anybody until I actually go down and do the interview and post it on my website, and we have confirmation for everybody, and everybody has an opportunity to dig around, right, at that stage. Because things have changed dramatically. I'm pretty sure this was a PR firm, wet dream for Woods Hole, and that the swimmer was innocent at that time. But since I came into the equation, there's no way that anybody can get away or around me, see, in this equation. And so we've already, in one sense, tainted what they were doing, what they were hoping to do, or what they planned to do, and we flipped it. And I know, and I'm not saying till I does the interview anymore. But I just wanted to put that out there so everybody understands why I'm like I am yesterday and again today, and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I believe I flipped it. And I believe they're all going to come on board when I go back down. I believe the few days that we had apart since I've been there will give them time to reflect on the things that we talked about. And we only talked about Fukushima. And we talked about it nonstop, constantly, for a day and a half that I was there. And that I had their attention the entire time. And that they didn't take their eyeballs off me the entire time. And that they asked pertinent and relevant questions to what I was saying the whole time. And that they were unaware. And that I spent the day and a half in order to explain it to them. Yeah? So you can see why I'm like I am. Because I have conviction in what I said and what I done. But I also remind you that I was also said I was going to go down and get an interview so you can hear from their own mouths. Because that is what has to be done before I can follow through with anything and pass over anything or anything like that or support anything. Because you know me. You know my guard's up all the time, and you know I can maneuver. I know how to play chess in real life. With real life. Let's put it that way. And that I didn't have to do that when I was there. And that they were honest and sincere and endearing in every sense of the word. And that you can't fake what I saw and what I heard and what we done. So, with that said, let's keep going with the show that I got today. It's a weird show I got for you today about Fukushima. It's a good show, but anybody that's not hardcore Fukushima might have a hard time. Normally, I think today is going to be a little bit different for everybody. I'm going to explain to you how life works, but I'm going to keep comparing it to Fukushima. But I'm going to explain to you how life works, and the things you know, and the things you experience in your past. Many of those things that we experience as a collective. I'm going to take away your security blankets of a normal world. And let's get started with that. And I know everybody's like, oh, what? Dana, huh? I don't know, Dana. That don't sound quite right to me. Well, you bear with me. So this picture you're looking at, gas mask, way back in the day. We have always set out to hurt each other. We have always set out in war, and we wreck everything. And we don't care about the types of munitions, and in this case, the types, the gases, the toxic dioxins, and everything else we use for gases just to kill each other. For a handful of bankers. and for the military industrial machine and for the weapons manufacturing machine. They have to produce weapons constantly to make money, to keep their employees and everything else and keep the thing moving. And so they need wars constantly because they can't just stack it up forever. The idea of this is to contaminate the land, is to destroy the land, is to eviscerate ownership of the land, is to make the land so contaminated and with such a bad history that nobody wants it under the corporations. They are thinking hundreds of years into the future of how do they end up with everything for the corporations. And so their fantasy is to go into space, and then this planet will be destroyed by the time they got the technology to do that. Is what they're hoping for. Is what they're aiming for. But without no conscience about the entire planet or the 8 million species or the people on it. They are not stewards of anything. They are empire destruction and empire builders. Iraq, for 10,000 gangbangers, Taliban, we got millions dead, millions missing, millions in refugee camps. We shot the whole country up with depleted uranium, low-level radioactive materials. And then a study just came out recently. We'll let that load up over there. Hopefully that doesn't interfere with the stream. It's just a web page, so it should show up. Okay, and so Iraq, so Fallujah, for instance, now they've done the same thing in Afghanistan. Millions of orphans, millions dead, millions missing, millions in refugee camps. The entire country destroyed, the infrastructure poisoned, the water poisoned, the entire, the pensions are gone, the patents are gone, and that we wrecked any possibility of them having a normal life. And so all they know is war. And that's why they are like they are that's left. Not that everybody's there trying to pick up the pieces, but 10,000 bad guys allowed us to wreck 2 countries and create millions dead, millions missing. Do you get that? Millions missing. Could be you, your loved ones, your friends, your families all separated permanently because a foreign country came in and shot your country up to get 10,000 bad guys and murdered all of you, but still never got those 10,000 bad guys. They done it in Afghanistan, then they went to Iraq, then they went to Libya, and they stuck a stick up Gaddafi's ass and put him on TV, and they got rid of Mubarak. They got Syria, and all of this is about the 10,000 Taliban. The ISIL is no different than the Taliban. 10,000 ISIL, that's what it started off with. 10,000 Hamas, 10,000 this, 10,000 that. But you can't control the 10,000, you can't catch them, but you can create millions dead, millions missing, millions in refugee camps, wreck an entire nation, wreck entire countries, break the countries that went to war. Americans spend 61 cents on every dollar on this machine. It is untenable. But if you watch the internet, your addiction, you have an internet addiction and you're classified as mental illness. Shouldn't it be the same thing for TV? Shouldn't it be the same thing for radio? That if you watch TV, you should be classified as a mental illness, of an addiction. Okay, but let's go back to Iraq one more time. Okay, Iraq, we went down there because of September 11th. Now this is Pennsylvania. Now this is the plane allegedly. This is the same size of plane. That's the hole. That's superimposed. Now you can't find anything in the hole. You can't find the passengers. You can't find their seatbelts. You can't find their sneakers. You can't find their wedding rings. You can't find their dental. You can't find the carcasses. These people were walking around with their hands in their pocket the whole fucking time. Sorry. If you realize what you've done, you would say the same words when you got to that point as I just said. Just for that 1 second, I forgot I was streaming. And that swearing is not allowed because you don't do it in your own home. You didn't do it with your friends and your loved ones when you were growing up. You never done it, but Dana does it. It's evil. And you're fucking innocent. And you're fucking squeaky clean, right? You're squeaky clean. You gotta ignore Dana because he swore. Or he smoked a cigarette with up to 7,000 chemicals. Mine don't got 7,000 chemicals. But all your friends and your loved ones most likely do. Because you won't listen to anybody, only them. They never told you there were 7,000 chemicals and that there are cigarettes out there with none. Without those 7,000 chemicals. I'm going to have a cigarette. Don't have a seizure. Don't run away. Don't have that trigger reflex that is imprinted in you since birth, that anybody that don't go along with the norm, that argues against the norm, should be avoided. Because that's how you got in the position, and this whole planet is in the position that we are in. We are facing an extinction event from Japan's reactors. But how can you have... Now, if you got to think about the Pentagon, there's no plane there. And the list goes on and on. You can check out my videos on my YouTube channel, Beautiful Girl by Dana, where I break it down into detail, where the Twin Towers, they fell down in 10 seconds. But think about what happened. You had 10 container ships, 5,000 transport trucks of material in each container ship evaporate in 10 seconds. That's what happened. You had unimaginable amount of glass, you had the steel, you had the cement. I broke all that down in the detail of the material they used in the buildings, the amount that was left, and the stuff that turned into dust. And you basically turned 10 container ships. There was enough steel there to build 3 container ships. You turned it all into dust in 10 seconds. There was no evidence of that at this. Okay, let's keep going. Because everybody's too busy looking for the drama of something in their own personal life. So they can show their friends and say, look, I took a picture of someone drowning. I didn't drop my phone in the water and run out to get him because that's my phone. Someone who knows it's all going to ship and still thinks it's okay. That's the majority of the population out there. We chemtrailed the skies in Vietnam for 9 years, but chemtrails don't exist, Dana. No, Dana, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, Dana, you kooky Dana. Okay, but once again, let's come back to another picture of a plane. All right, bear with me. Hang on. You know, conspiracy theorist? GI brain fried by military dispensed nose candy. So the uranium oxide and depleted uranium goes up the receptors and into your brain. They showed those studies on mice. And is firing in your brain at 850 rounds a minute, is what they're saying. If you scroll right down, I'm sorry, there's a link there to the studies anyway, right? I'm not going to open that up today, but here's the synopsis, the abstract, blah, 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 blah. But what it shows... I'll come back over. But what it shows is that we contaminated an entire country for something that didn't happen, something that was orchestrated, and that we were tricked, just like we were tricked to go to Vietnam. So there's 3 million people died in Vietnam because of the Gulf of Tonkin. The Gulf of Tonkin is where allegedly Vietnamese fired upon a military ship. And because of that, we went and killed 3 million people. But that didn't happen. McNamara said at Harvard, a couple of years before he died, that the Gulf of Tonkin, the captain who was alleged fired upon, his statement was that if they did fire their guns on the ship, they were firing, must have been firing at a whale, because they didn't get attacked and there was nothing out there. And so the Vietnam War, chemtrailing an entire country, defoliaging it, and creating millions of orphans, deformed orphans, from using toxins and dioxins and Agent Orange, is an abomination. Is you gave up all your rights as a human species when you done that to somebody else. And the The reason the war ended was because around 10,000 commanders got fragged with grenades or shot and then blown up and everything else. They start killing off everybody that went to a military school that came from the elite family, and the elite were losing their children left, right, and center. The planes you see there had to go out offshore because they were firing their beak guns at these guys because they were chemtrailing them. That's what the Vietnam War ended. And when they went in Iraq, into Kuwait in 91, the day before they went there, they gave them live ammo because they learned their lesson from Vietnam. And truth is available only to those who have the courage to ask, question whatever they have been taught. Question whatever they have been taught. So everything I taught you that time and told you this time and teach you each day is the reality. It's the bare reality. The world's 100 richest people in 2012 gained, made, created, earned a total of $240 billion, enough money to end extreme poverty worldwide 4 times over. It's not a crisis, it's a scam. And it's time to put an end to it. Each one of these container ships, my cigarettes don't got 7,000 chemicals, don't have a seizure. So 15 of the world's biggest ships may now emit, not may, but that's media for you, they emit more pollution, not as much, but more pollution than the 760 million cars in the world. But there's not 15 of these only on the ocean. There's 90,000. That's the equivalent of 42 trillion people driving 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But you're bad for your tin cans, your pop bottles, and your plastic. Yeah? Yeah. Well, you're not. They're bad for lying and making you feel like that. The children in America are forced to spend 8 hours a day sitting in a classroom. Then they are drugged when they move too much or make too much noise. And the primary source of entertainment is an idiot box. And so they say to over there, that's horrible, we should take up donations for them. The fact is that far more crime and child abuse has been committed by zealots in the name of God, Jesus, and Muhammad than has been ever committed in the name of Satan. And most people don't like that statement, but few can argue with it. Now, 3 of my closest friends, when I moved over out of where I grew up and over to Conception Bay, 3 of them were Catholic. They were altar boys, and all 3 of them were victimized. And that the Catholic Church, where I come from, had to sell the entire, they had to sell their churches, the dioceses, and the graveyards. And that the community bought it back for them. Who allowed them to rape their children, bought it back and gave it back to the Catholics. So they continue to rape and wreck our loved ones and our friends and our family. And in the age of information, ignorance is the choice. Morality is doing what's right regardless of what you're told or others say about you. Obedience is doing what you're told regardless of what is right. And so that's a police officer, that's the justice system, that's your academics and your institutions. So Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell, people like that, these are thugs. These are the issue. It is 1,000 times better to have common sense without education than to have education without common sense. But education generally don't give you common sense. Education teaches you to read from a certain book. And education allows people like UVic and Woods Hole Oceanographic and Institution and many of the PR firms out there, these are PR firms, to lie to you under the guise that they are authentic, that they have an education, that they know the difference. When they're the spokespeople for North America, wouldn't it be better to have a nuclear scientist talking about Fukushima? Does it make more sense to talk about Fukushima with a marine chemist who has proven that they're lawyers and incapable of telling you the truth? So this guy here, he worked as a patent office till he was old, and then he came out with all of these discoveries after. Now, back in the day, of course, there was no internet, no one to hold these people accountable. What's the chances he stole all the patents, knew people had died, tucked it away, and then came out, never showed it to anybody all that time. That's why those people died in poverty, and said, I'm retired, but hey, by the way, I'm a genius. Because that's what happened. That this guy is a nobody. He's only somebody because he was in the patent department and stole people's ideas. And then he was put on a pedestal till the end of time, all the way up to the day, as some kind of genius, when that's the completely absurd. He was a thief. Yeah, he might have been a genius at the end of it, but it wasn't his ideas. He was genius to steal it, hide it, and then come out after and pretend that he's somebody normal like me or you. Because that is what happened. A bored angel. As if there's not enough good to be done. Americans just voted on whether the person firing drone missiles at them is a Democrat or a Republican. They just voted to find out whether they're... Because it doesn't matter which one it is, they're both going to do it. Here's one guy, when there was a mass power outage after Hurricane Sandy, I believe it was. And he had a little generator and he set it all up so people on the street can charge their phones to call their loved ones. Just somebody that everybody's already forgot a long time ago. But there he is, once again, for us. Jimmy Savile, hanging out with Prince Charles, hanging out with the royals, hanging out with the politicians. Now we know he raped thousands of children in hospital beds, dying of cancer. That he hung out with the elites and kidnapped little children and gave these elites opportunity to sexually abuse them. And that BBC hid it. And that BBC, of course, when that came out, all the media throughout North America ran other BBC stories to try to get people to go back to BBC. Rather than condemn them for what they'd done, because they all enjoyed it at BBC. They were all raping the children when Jimmy was fixing it, right? This is the world you live in. So 911 first responders now considered terrorists because they ask questions. Came to stop people surrounding Parliament, got themselves surrounded. It's that easy to take back your country. And you will at some point do that. You will take back your country. You will take these people apart. And when that time comes, they are done. In the town on tour, there's 20 police for 25,000 people. If we decide we're going to take this town back, they got nowhere to go. They got no way of controlling us. The only reason they control us is they put their hand up there and we've been brainwashed to stop. When the right thing to do is just walk over them. And that day is coming because of Fukushima, because of what they got done to us. Here was the logo for the Catholic Church. Do you see anything strange about that logo? Got a little boy. He's hanging onto his hands. Can you guess what he's doing? But that was up in your schools. That was in your children's bathroom, probably. That was passed out to little pamphlets that they read during class and then taken away from them so mommy and daddy didn't see them. Here's your perfect little family, right? Yay, everything is perfect. Everything is wonderful. Troops obeying orders, citizen obeying gun laws. That's what you see there. I just follow an order. That didn't work at the Nuremberg trials, did it? That didn't work in Rwanda, did it? There's 22 veterans committing suicide every day. Thousands of children are regularly fined and arrested at a U.S. public school. When I was going to school, there was no such thing as that. That would never happen. And if it did happen, the parents would catch the teacher, they would beat him unconscious and leave him at the low tide line. So that when the autopsy was done, they drowned it. And they couldn't do it to someone else's kids. Now you give them your kids and let them molest them. Arrest them and criminalize them. Why are police doing that to you and your friends and your families and your loved ones' children? What part of a Constitution or a Bill of Rights or a Magna Carta said go arrest the children? Angry day today for Dana? No. Stuff like that makes me angry. Because I have emotions. I have a sense of right and wrong. I'm not yelling at anybody. I'm yelling. In despair and hopelessness. That we live in this friggin' world. That where everything we covet was staged, is planted, was an ideology imprinted. Just saying. Don't forget to chop out all the anger stuff Dana does. Put it in a video and use it to demonize me. If I ever catches you people, I'd knock all your teeth out of your fucking head. I don't give a fuck if I go to jail for it. Trust me. I don't. I catch you, I'll fucking maul you. You're the criminal. You know, under your Bill of Rights and your constitutions, you're supposed to have a militia. And a militia was independent of the government. And they were financed by the town, by the people in the community. They had fundraisers. And that if we had a government employee who was a prick or a bitch, the militia would go down and relieve them of their duty and find somebody else in the community that can temporarily take over the duty, and that then they would look for a real person to do the job. And so what did they do? They demonized the militia. Because that's a direct threat to them. Because under the constitutions and the Bill of Rights, they still have the power to go do that in each community. To throw out the government employee, the mayor, the police. That's why they have arms. That's why they're required under your constitutions and your Bill of Rights to train, to take that job and take on your local police, to take on your local government, to take on your local thugs. That be the checks and balances. That's all I am. I'm the militia in every sense of that word. My weapon is a microphone and a camera. With all this gun control talk, I haven't heard one politician say they plan to take the guns from criminals, just law-abiding citizens. They'll take the guns from the citizens, and then the criminals can come in and shoot you. The police are not there to protect you. They're there to arrest the guy after he murders you or rapes your loved ones. They're not there to stop it. And they never will be. Even though they've been trained and indoctrinated to believe they are. But they can't. If they could, there'd be no crime. So if we lie to the government, it's a felony, but if they lie to us, it's politics. Politics is at the end of a rope in the near future, trust me. How can politicians represent you when they're given millions to represent someone else? The Israeli lobby, for Christ's sakes, has 7,500 lobbyists and 120,000 support network people that we know about. And they all got $1 million in a suitcase to give to a politician to get their vote. That's how they do it. Give them $1 million to this one, $1 million to that one, get $2 billion back. Got 7,500. So if you needed my vote, and I won't give it, I got 7,500 lobbyists coming at me. 7,500 emails, 7,500 people at your door. To 120,000 people stalking you. That's the fuel pool at number 4. They tore all that off. It's all gone. They ripped everything down. At number 4, we'll cover that in a little tiny bit. U.S. is importing its food from Japan that's considered made up a new word today, considered unfit to eat. In Japan at this point, the permissible levels of radioactivity in food is 100 becquerels a kilogram. In the U.S., because of Hillary Clinton, is 1,200, 12 times more. Japan, at that time, on that day, they kept raising it. But was it safe? Was it safe to begin with? Because a single atom will give you a cancer. But it takes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years to show up. But before that shows up, there's 1,800 autoimmune deficiencies that will show up, including Alzheimer's, dementia, and autism passed on to your children, and heart and liver and lung, respiratory, pituitary glands. Major surgeries, major issues. No, that's okay, Dana. Just go watch your fucking TV and shut up. I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. As long as you're honest. As long as you're not a fucking lawyer. As long as you're not a creepy PR firm. I will do that for you. They will not, the government will not do it for me. They'll take an 8-second clip, not include the sentences where I say you got to change the law, and then make me look bad in order to try to get at me, in order to try to humiliate me, and then put in the media across Canada that I'm charged with death threats when I'm charged with puke fucking stuff. Criminal harassment of nuclear pukes. Big fucking whoop. And I will win this case. Because they left the evidence out. They don't got a leg to stand on. But they'll try to wreck me and cost me a stupid amount of money to defend myself, but I will win. A little pissy today with this fucking system that we got there. Federal court rules hidden spy cameras on your property legal without a signed warrant. That's UK, I think. Yep, it's true. And get this. If you remove and damage the camera, you're guilty of a 3rd-degree felony. Because you don't own jack shit. You don't hold them accountable. You won't even try. I'm not saying everybody. If we tolerate your pot use, next we'll be legalizing hemp, which would threaten my investments in synthetic fabrics and plastics and pesticides and oils and prisons. So I have no choice but to jail you for 30 years. Have a nice fucking day. Over and over and over. Anything oil or plastic can do, hemp can do it fucking better. Without any toxic fucking waste. You are being destroyed, and Fukushima is going to make sure you don't survive. Every genocide in history has been preceded by civilian disarmament. Governments murdered 170 million unarmed, innocent civilians in the 20th century. For 10,000 gangbangers, for 10,000 Taliban, for 10,000 mercenaries, for 10,000 Hamas, for 10,000 Mujahideen, for 10,000 boogeymen. Need a boogeyman. And it works because you watch TV only. You don't hear another narrative. Look, media puts out a story, the same picture, the same paragraphs, is aggregated by robots on the internet through all the mainstream media, and everybody reads the same paragraph, everybody gets the same picture, and everybody has the same conversation. There's no debate, there's no argument, there's just, I hope they go down and get them. Yeah, we got to kill a couple of million women and children. That's okay. We got to rape 290,000 of them over the last decade of our own troops. That's okay. There's 10,000 of them. We better get them. You got any fucking idea how stupid you are? And I am to fall for anything like that. Aspartame, GMO. They put aspartame in your drinks to get rid of calories. But it's GMO. It's unimaginable damage that goes from that. GMO poop, where they engineered bacteria and got a copyright on it. And then the poop that comes out of the bacteria, so to speak, is aspartame. And you feed that to your children, your loved ones, and people on diets. It's in your food. It's in your chocolate bars. It's in their candies. And you are fucking them up beyond imagination every time you give it to them. Every time you give in and go to McDonald's or anywhere else or Walmart or anything like that, you are fucking over your loved ones. You are fucking over your children. You are fucking over this entire fucking planet. Dave for swearing. Paranoia. Because in America, everything is a fucking terrorist. How did we get here? The government doesn't have the authority to do fuck all. But they keep taking it. No one holds them accountable. They keep saying, we got to do it. The terrorists might get you. Homeland Security has physically raped who knows how many, has groped hundreds of millions a year, every year, has never stopped a terrorist, never caught a terrorist, never interrupted a terrorist. But they murdered people who didn't want to be groped. They criminalized people who didn't want their children groped. They vilified people who said it was wrong. And they hired these people by putting phone numbers on pizza boxes and coffee cups. They got their badges through administration, not legislation. You know what's in a vaccine? You give your child vaccine? Are you fucking stupid? Are you an idiot? Do you give your child a vaccine? This day and age, when there's so much information of what they're fucking doing to you. You're worried about your child getting... Bill Gates went down and inoculated India so 600 people around the world wouldn't get polio. But every year that he was doing it, there was 1 million to 2 million children starved to death. So 600 people around the world didn't get polio. And you tell me there's nothing going on there and that man has our best interest at heart. India should have fucking hung him right on the spot. So you can hire a bully to protect you, but how do you stop them from bullying you? You can't use that cure your privacy. Ha ha ha. You can't grow that. You can't smoke that. Our games are none of your fucking business. Payment or penalty. This is what you allowed them to do to you and do to your future generation. It's called capitalism. My cigarettes don't got 7,000 chemicals. CNTs. Go try it. Maybe you can quit the 7,000 chemicals and do something useful with your fucking life. I only smoke when I get stressed out. Today I'm stressed out. Because I can't do the things I want to do. I can't come out and bash these fuckers the way they need to be bashed. I'm almost there. When the herd is all running towards the cliff, the one running in the opposite direction seems crazy. That's us here today, right? That's everybody here today. I'm yelling at the people that say we're not right, or that we're crazy, or that we're being dramatic, or that we're overreacting to Fukushima. Because we are not overreacting to Fukushima. Give up your guns, they said, or we'll protect you, they said. Yeah? So go out and protest and then get the shit kicked out of you. What do you care? That's not you. That's not your loved one, is it? Right? That's not your friend or your family member, right? So it don't fucking matter to you. Do it. Because the only thing that matters to you when it affects you directly, yeah? I can fucking assure you that if what they're doing there is because you are incapable of understanding the things I told you today. Not the people that are the hounds of Fukushima, or not the people that are trying to learn, but the people that are attacking us. You can't talk about Fukushima without sounding like a fear-mongering, without sounding alarmist, without sounding salacious. You can't even have a smoke without being discredited because they got you that fucking brainwashed. Monsanto aspartame. Don't drink any of that fucking shit you see there. Don't be that stupid. One of the best things out there is cannabis, period, bar nothing. It's synced up with your fucking body, for Christ's sakes. The chemistry coming out of there is the exact same ones that are in your body. It's meant to be used. It's a fucking medicine. It's a herb. I love that picture. Eh? Isn't that something? There's so many clever people out there. There's so many good things we could do. Nuclear is not one of them. War is not one of them. Aspartame GMO is not one of them. 7,000 chemicals in your cigarette is not 7,000 of them. But I love that picture. Anybody out there knows how to knit, will you, for Christ's sakes, excuse the words, would you please knit one of those for me and contact me? They gave me left nut and my right eyeball for one of those. Just figuratively speaking. Don't anybody come expecting me to ship that back to them when it shows up. Aspartame in everything. You can't get away with it. You see these things here? That's what they do. They shoot depleted uranium rounds. Dirty bombs. Every fucking bullet is a dirty bomb. Every bullet is a dirty bomb. This is what Prince Harry was sitting in the back of in Afghanistan all day long, shooting dirty bombs all over Afghanistan. Prince Harry, and then go and get his picture taken with the children, giving them lollipops and candies. And he knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. You can't make it up, see? When it's uncomfortable, when it's unpopular, even when it's dangerous to speak the truth, it is the precise time that the truth should be spoken. The media paints you a picture of birds and trees and flowers and stardust, and the military-industrial machine is able to go in and mass murder constantly, endlessly, your own loved ones. 22 veterans committing suicide because they bought into it, but when they had time and got back and had time to think about it, they can't live with themselves. Before they went to war, they raped 290,000 of their own, 29,000 a year over 10 years. How many did they rape in the countries they were occupying? The media don't tell you that, do they? They might once in a while, so they can say, oh no, we told you. But they don't never use it in context again. So why is Monsanto GMO workers wearing that? But then they want you to eat the food after. Why do they engineer it into the food and they want you to eat the food? Because you're not smart enough to ask the question. You take their word for it. You don't hold them accountable. You don't think it's necessary. You bought into it. You've been brainwashed in increments over decades to acquiesce to everything that anybody with a fucking trench coat on says to you, or that has the word politician associated with them. A politician, all politicians, all political people are mass murdering scum. These will rape your fucking children in a heartbeat. Every one of them. There's no such thing as a good politician. They might seem good because they have a conscience and they do good things to make them look good. But if you look at their whole fucking history, as long as you don't try the media, if you look at that in the media, all you're going to get is this stupid fucking ideology said 10,000 different ways for 10,000 days. Here's Afghanistan, 1972. And after we got finished with it, 2012 on the bottom. Millions dead, millions missing, millions in refugee camps, entire country destroyed. And we're still at it. Now we got 7 million refugees in Syria and that country destroyed. And you sent your children there to do it. You sent your friends and your families, and you never said, hey, What are you, fucking stupid? You're gonna join the military? Why the fuck would you want to do that? Get a fucking job. That's not a job. You're an assassin. You're a tool. You're a useless, useful idiot if you join the military. No offense. There's nothing fucking honorable about it. Fuck Albert Einstein. Go fuck yourself, Albert. Everything you say is stolen from other people that put their fucking fate into you, Albert. You never gave anybody credit in your fucking life, Albert. Depleted uranium and GMO. Depleted uranium is... Uranium, the reactors, the nuclear power plants are the biggest threat. GMO is the next one. Both of them are planet killers. Both of them. The 90,000 ships on the ocean is meant to solidify that. Okay, we're almost through it. Nothing gained, nothing accomplished outside of me coming out and bashing this fucking system that is harassing me and demonizing me and threatening this entire planet. That's all I'm fucking doing today. And I'm so tired. I'm so worn out from everything I do. But yet, you know, I sat here all last night and all the morning banging my head, and what can I do? What can I fucking do? How can I help? How can I change things? For the better. Because I have to see results. It's not that I have to, I will. It's that I'm driven to do that. I don't know why. It's not that I'm some fucking random person got an epiphany and said, hey, no, I covered over 10,000 fucking headlines on Fukushima before I went on the ocean. And then I went into the nursery for 260 days, 15,000 miles. So let's finish this up with Fukushima. You had an earthquake, ran through the country at 9,000 miles an hour. It was felt in Florida 30 minutes later. It shook the country for 6 minutes. It was 1,000 times worse than Haiti. The tsunami ran through the country just like the earthquake. It didn't just go in and smash into Fukushima, and that was the end of it. It took out all the power plants on that coastline. They detonated. They caught fire. They blew up. They melted down. That's unit 1. 100% meltdown, melt throughout. It's lost its fucking inventory. The worst thing can happen to a planet is just that single building losing its inventory. But it's not that simple. About a month ago, they confirmed it's all gone out of that one finally. They finally admitted it. We proved it a long time ago, but they finally admitted it. This is unit 3. It's all fucking gone. You don't have to be a genius. This is unit 4. The fuel pools are on the roof. You gotta realize it fucking blew up. That's unit 1, I think. Yeah. They all blew up. There's nothing left. But yet they say that's inside of it. If that's inside of it, why are you trying to spray water into the fucking roof? And if the roof looked like that, what the fuck you got a hose there for? Because it looks like that. I'm talking to the people out there that are harassing everybody, are torturing everybody, are trying to humiliate everybody, are fucking using the system to demonize everybody. We'll never give this planet a fucking chance. You gotta give the planet a chance. I fight all day for this. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Hugs for everybody.